Hello, Internet. Welcome to Only Kind of Everything. And with Backlash now behind us, we can talk about the future. And the future specifically in question that I'm going to be talking about is, what does the rest of Cena's time in WWE look like? Now, it definitely looks like we're getting R-Truth and Cena at Saturday Night's Main Event. And I know there's already some split on this. But I think the thing first we have to think about with that is, we're not going to get the Cena matches of old, like these epic matches. You know, Cena was never a work rate guy. But we have to take into consideration that Cena's not going to be able to put the classics on that he used to. So with that being said, you know, R-Truth is probably a strong candidate to get a good match, because I think a lot of what Cena is going to be doing is going to be character work, and the wrestling probably being secondary. You know, Cena has limited dates for the last, 7 months left of his time. We know he's done in December. So, you know, what does Cena's path to the end potentially look like? I think after Truth, you know, I've got some ideas in mind. I do have a couple matches that I would say are the definitive matches. Like, I'm just positive they're going to happen. And then I have some like theory matches that I think would just fit in well. You know, one of those theory matches I think would fit in well with this heel Cena is AJ Styles. You know, Cena and Styles tore the house down, you know, several years ago. And this heel Cena version of himself, taking on the face AJ Styles, would be an interest. It like most of these matches, it's going to be interesting flip. So Styles, although very work rate, I think that's going to be a really high quality match that Cena would be able to have in this, you know, last run. And it will, again, a lot of these are going to be Cena win, lol. I do think that at SummerSlam, we are going to get, very likely, Cody Rhodes and Bad Bunny versus Travis Scott and John Cena. You know, I don't like that idea, but I do think it's important, because I do think Cena's going to cheat to win again, and that's going to pay into the end of this storyline. I do think in between, I don't think we're going to get Miz and Cena, although that would be a great callback. I would like to see potentially Roman Reigns versus John Cena. Maybe do that at Survivor Series. The biggest advantage of that, again, the face-heel dynamic is reversed. So Roman, the guy who, you know, despite being dominant for 1,316 days as the world champion, a lot of those matches, he kind of had some underhanded victories. Very few of them were just definitively Roman wins. So it'll kind of be, you know, shoe on the other foot for our tribal chief, or whatever character he's going to evolve into next, that, you know, somebody else is getting the leg up on Roman, be it through use of Travis Scott or, you know, whatever. That seems to be, you know, that'll be a strong match. Something I think would be neat to add to this is kind of a side off, but I would like to see Karrion Kross involved with this. You know, his whole character is like the Sean O'Hare devil on your shoulder type character. And imagine, we don't see it immediately, but, you know, in the last couple months, we start seeing Karrion Kross popping around Cena. And, you know, it basically comes down to, you know, it was Kross that got in Cena's ear and was like, hey man, you're not as good as you once was, man. You're gonna have to do whatever it takes to win. That would be absolutely a great call to the character that Karrion Kross has been building lately, and it would kind of help explain away this whole sell your soul to The Rock garbage that, probably was nothing other than just that garbage. So it'll give some actual credence to why Cena started doing all these heel tactics. Yes, it's well, you didn't like me and blah, 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 blah. But the thing that might have clicked it out, they could say, well, Karrion Kross got in his ear, back at Elimination Chamber and leading into WrestleMania, and you play that shtick. The next, I think another good opponent for John Cena, the face that runs the place, is probably one that would surprise some people, but I do think it makes sense. Jey Uso. His run with this world title, I don't see it lasting super long. And, Ricky and I were talking the other day that, whoever wins Money in the Bank is going to be whoever is the one to defeat John Cena's world title run. I don't think that's the case. I would actually argue that whoever wins Money in the Bank is probably cashing it in on Jey Uso, which would free Jey up. And I do think at some point Jey Uso versus John Cena would make some sense. Uso kind of in terms of like merch sales and crowd reaction versus, John Cena. It's almost as parallel to where Cena was right as he was starting his trip at the world title. Very over. The crowd was very behind him. I'm not saying that Jey Uso is going to go the route of John Cena and become this polarizing figure. I don't think that's in the future for Jey Uso, but I do think it would be a good match. It would get people talking, and it would, if nothing else, give Cena something to do between Point A and December. The other thing to think about too, you have Joe Hendry, who is really trying to will a match with John Cena into existence. I'm not against Joe Hendry versus John Cena. If Cena has I don't want to call it a throwaway, but a lot of these matches outside of the SummerSlam match with Cody and the tag team match that I talked about that I do think is 100% going to happen. I do think a lot of the matches with Cena are throwaway, for lack of better terms. They're going to be matches that are good, but they're going to just be matches that happen to get us to December. And speaking of December, I'm going to kind of get right into December, because I do think December is where things are interesting. I think by this point, and maybe even into like the Survivor Series time where you could potentially do your Roman Reigns match, or even CM Punk do that match again at like a Survivor Series. The thing, I think the reality is, right now, right after Backlash, it's still very easy to be like, oh, boo, John Cena, you're the heel, boo. But as we wind closer to December, it's going to become more and more apparent that this is truly the last time we see John Cena. He is inevitably going to start getting those face reactions. I truly believe that. Which leads me to what I think the final match will be. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes one more time for the WWE Championship. The caveat to this match is they're going to try the double turn. Cena will go into the match as the heel, even though we know it's going to be in Boston, basically John Cena's hometown. Cena is going to be getting cheered. Whoever he faces, in this case, I am almost positive it's going to be Cody Rhodes, will be walking out the baby face, but will be getting massive boos. I do think that in this match, Cody is going to cheat to win. Cena is going to get the face turn at the end. Cody will walk out of December, whether it be, a Saturday night's main event or whatever, Cody Rhodes will be walking out of December as the WWE champion and a heel champion as John Cena retires as a face. He gets the adulation of the crowd. He gets that retirement send-off that he's going to get because he's John Cena. And that, I think that's kind of the storybook, quote unquote, ending, if you will. It gives us time to build a brand new baby face to kind of be the face of the company. It gives Cody Rhodes this chance to be a heel. It gives John Cena, in my estimation, it's going to give the full wraparound. Now, who could be that baby face? Only time will tell. We are a ways away, but you could theoretically say maybe Jey Uso, maybe Jacob Fatu, maybe Damian Priest, Jeff Cobb, maybe. We have a long time to get there, but I do think that this provides enough time to build that babyface, and it also has story beats that make sense. If the actual story is Cena ends face and Cody ends heel, you have Cena cheating to win at WrestleMania, Cena cheating to win at the tag team match. And actually, if you want to go a step further, I would even say maybe Cena wins clean in the tag match to really drive home that Cody is going to have to do whatever it takes to beat John Cena. And then at whatever that final event is, Cody Rhodes has to go. He has to go low. He has to take the belt and do whatever it takes to beat John Cena, similar to what Cena kind of did, except Cody is still prime. He's not retiring anytime soon. That gives you this new heel character that can run with the world title. But guys, I don't want to ramble too much about that. This was more about how I think that John Cena's final year, or 6-7 months left in WWE, is going to look. Let me know what you think. If I missed any potential opponents who could be a great matchup for John Cena, there's still some good ones on that card that I didn't even talk about. Like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, guys, and I will see all of you in the next video. Bye!